So next we're going to go over, I believe, geography with brother Hafiz Shihab Chaudhry. He's going to talk about geography, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Before I would start, I'd like to say that all of this was figured out from in the Quran about 1,000 years before, these scientists figured it out. So I'd like to start out by reciting this ayah from Surah Zumar, ayah 21. ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فسلكه ينابيع في الأرض ثم يخرج به زرعا مختلفا ألوانه. Seest thou not that Allah sends down from the rain from the sky and leads it through springs in the earth. Then He causes to grow therewith produce of various colors. I will explain this after I read the following verses. Next one is from Surah Rum, ayah 24. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ يُرِيكُمُ الْبَرْقَ خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا وَيُنَزِّلُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَيُحْيِي بِهِ الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. He sends down rain from the sky, and with it gives life to the earth after it is dead. Verily, in that are signs for those who are wise. The next one is from the next ayah. The next verse is from Surah Mu'minun, ayah 13. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً بِقَدَرٍ فَأَسْكَنَّاهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَإِنَّا عَلَى ذَهَابٍ بِهِ لَقَادِرُونَ. And we send down water from the sky according to due measure, and we cause it to soak in the soil, and we certainly are able to drain it off with ease. So now I will explain it. I will explain the entire water cycle. So in 1580, Bernard Palissy was the first person to describe the present day concept of water cycle. He described how water evaporates from the oceans and cools to form clouds. The clouds move inland where they rise, condense, and fall as rain. This water gathers as lakes and streams and flows back to the ocean in a continuous cycle. In the 7th century BC, please excuse my pronunciation, Thales of Miletus, I believe, believed that surface spray of the oceans was picked up by the wind and carried inland to fall as rain. In earlier times, people did not know the source of underground water. They thought the water of the oceans, under the effects of winds, was thrust towards the interior of the continents. They also believed that the water returned by a secret passage or the Great Abyss. This passage is connected to the oceans and has been called the, excuse my pronunciation again, the Tartarus, I believe, since Plato's time. Even a great thinker of the 18th century just subscribed to this view. Till the 19th century, Aristotle's theory was still prevalent. According to this theory, water was condensed in cool mountain caverns and formed underground lakes that fed springs. Today, we have come to know that the rainwater that seeps into the cracks of the ground is responsible for this. And I already recited all the ayahs, So now I'll move on to how wind impregnates clouds. So, in one verse of the Quran, the fecundating characteristic of the winds and the formation of rain as a result are mentioned in Surah Hijr, ayah 22. وَأَرْسَلْنَا الرِّيَاحَ لَوَاقِحَ فَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَأَسْقَيْنَاكُمُوهُ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ لَهُ بِخَازِنِينَ. And we send the fecundating winds, then cause the rain to descend from the sky, therewith providing you with water in abundance. So the Arabic word used here is lawaqih, which is the plural of laqih from laqaha, which means to impregnate or fecundate. In this context, impregnate means that the wind pushes the clouds together, increasing the condensation that causes lightning and thus rain. So in Surah Rum, once again, and ayah 48, الله الذي يرسل الرياح فتثير سحابا فيبسطه في السماء كيف يشاء ويجعله كسفا فترى الودق يخرج من خلاله فإذا أصاب به من يشاء من عباده إذا هم يستبشرون. It is Allah who sends the winds, and they raise the clouds. Then does He spread them in the sky as He wills, and breaks them into fragments until thou seest raindrops issue from the midst thereof. Then, when He has made them reach such of His servants as He wills, behold, they do rejoice. They do rejoice. So in this verse, it is pointed out that the first stage in the formation of rain is wind. Until the beginning of the 20th century, the only relationship between the wind and the rain that was known was that the wind drove the clouds. However, modern meteorological findings have demonstrated the fecundating role of the wind in the formation of rain. This fecundating function of the wind works in the following way. On the surface of oceans and seas, countless air bubbles form because of the water's foaming action. The moment these bubbles burst, thousands of tiny particles with a diameter of just 1/100th of a millimeter are thrown up into the air. These particles, known as aerosols, mix with dust carried from the land by the wind and are carried to the upper layers of the atmosphere. These particles carried to higher altitudes by winds come into contact with water vapor up there. Water vapor condenses around these particles and turns into water droplets. These water droplets first come together and form clouds and then fall to the earth in the form of rain, as seen winds fecundate. The water vapor floating in the air with the particles they carry from the sea and eventually help the formation of rain clouds. If winds did not possess this property, water droplets in upper atmosphere would never form, and there would be no such thing as rain. That's
Alhamdulillah, Hafiz Shihab Chaudhry, he went over the water cycle, which was discovered in the earliest it was even thought about was in the 1500s, 1580 I believe. But in the Quran, the Quran was able to predict it much before, and he continued on to talk about the impregnation of winds to the clouds, where the winds they brought the clouds together, and without this process it would be impossible for rain droplets to be formed in the upper atmosphere. So alhamdulillah, we learned quite a bit from Hafiz Shihab Chaudhry's educated address.